The words hit my ears like ice water. You and that kid are nothing but leeches bleeding this family dry. My 12-year-old son Micah had been upstairs doing homework, ear pressed to the floor. He heard every syllable. My father calm in his cruelty. My mother smiling like it had been rehearsed for years. And me sitting at my own dinner table finally seeing the truth in brutal clarity. My name is Lila Harper. Until that night I still believed family meant forever. From the outside we were the perfect family. Christmas cards, church potlucks, neighbors marveling at how together we were. Inside the reality was different. My brother Rowan had always been the sun around which everything revolved. He had ideas, big ideas, and I had a role to fund them. College savings? Gone. Emergency fund? Gone. Every bonus, every extra dollar, gone into the next app, next prototype, next revolutionary venture he claimed the world would thank him for. And all the while Micah grew up thinking that helping his uncle financially was normal. That the family he loved most needed him to support a dream no matter the cost. That night, though, the pattern cracked. We were in my house, the house I had worked to pay off for years. Every mortgage payment, every late-night coding session, every skipped vacation so the note cleared. Mine. And yet they sat at my table, consuming my food, drinking my wine, calling my son a burden. It wasn't the first time. It wasn't even the 100th. But it was the one that ended their free pass. A week earlier Mom had called me in tears. Your father's heart. Surgery. We're $300,000 behind. The bank is circling, she said. I invited all of them to dinner. Face to face. I set the table like a battlefield. 4 plates, 4 glasses, the centerpiece hiding a recording device. Texas is a one-party consent state and Sage, my best friend, had warned me, they'll lie. Protect yourself. They arrived carrying barbecue and practiced smiles. Rowan pitched his latest app like he was auditioning for Shark Tank. Dad complained about bills. Mom cried on cue. I asked for paperwork. Hospital bills. Mortgage statements. There were none. And then Dad snapped. You make $350,000 a year and watch your family drown? Mom added softly, Micah deserves to know his roots. Rowan smirked. Some of us have vision. Some just pay the bills. It was the truth hiding behind threats that made me realize my next move. The truth about the finances, the lies, the pattern of borrowing my life to fund his. And that truth was about to come out. I looked at each of them, father, mother, brother, and repeated, calm as winter, 24 hours. The words landed like a hammer. Micah peeked around the corner, eyes wide. For the first time he saw his mother not as someone trying to keep the peace, but as someone protecting him and their home. They didn't respond rationally. Rowan laughed, sharp and forced. You can't seriously mean that, he said, voice cracking with disbelief. My father's jaw tightened. Mom's tears faltered, replaced by a practiced glare. But I didn't flinch. I never flinch when I know I'm right. Earlier that week I'd already planned the logistics. Mom and Dad had refinanced our childhood home years ago and defaulted. Legally I could buy it if it went to market. I was ready. I just needed them out of the way long enough to execute it quietly. That evening I called Cora, my attorney Sage's sister, and explained everything. He smiled, confident. We'll do this by the book. No chaos. No mistakes. The next morning I watched social media explode. Mom had posted a tear-stained TikTok. Ungrateful daughter throws sick parents to the street. The caption read. Photos of our house. Photos of Micah. 500,000 views in a day. Comments ranged from furious to sympathetic. Rowan posted nothing, he couldn't. I didn't respond online. I didn't need to. By then the legal wheels were already in motion. Cora prepared the paperwork. Vacate notices with a 24-hour deadline, and the deed transferring ownership to me the moment the sale closed. 3 weeks later the transaction was complete. Their house, my childhood home, was now mine. Legally. Securely. Irrevocably. Notices were delivered and the sheriff was on standby in case anyone refused. When they returned from a week of visiting friends, I met them at the airport. Cora handed them the envelopes. Rowan tore his open first. His smile faltered, disbelief written on his face. You bought the house? He asked. I nodded. It's mine now. You never had the deed to bargain with. Mom reached for me, voice trembling. Lila, we're your family. I cut her off. You stopped being my family the day you weaponized my child. Rowan's bravado cracked. You'll regret this, he spat, but I stepped close enough that only he could hear. I already survived you. That's enough. Security escorted them from the property. Strangers filmed the scene. But I didn't flinch. I didn't have to. I wasn't fighting for attention. I was claiming what had always been mine and protecting the boy who mattered most. Later, while organizing the attic, our crew found a box my grandfather had hidden. Inside were his original will, bank records, and a letter addressed to me. Lila, it read. The money was always meant for you and your children. Never for dreams that only take. Use it well. I'm proud of the woman you became. I kept the letter. Everything else I let go. Rowan's app collapsed. Mom's followers turned on her when the truth came out. Dad disappeared into silence. And Micah? He waters the pecan tree we planted in the backyard every morning, watching it grow as our lives finally did too. The days after they left were quiet, almost eerily so. The house that had once echoed with arguments, passive-aggressive remarks, and the constant weight of expectation now breathed on its own. I could hear the floorboards sighing, the wind brushing against the windows, and the hum of life slowly returning. Micah was my first priority. He wandered through the rooms cautiously, eyes wide with relief and disbelief. He had spent so many years thinking that his uncle and grandparents had the right to criticize, to manipulate, to drain. Now he saw a different truth, that someone could protect him truly and act decisively when necessary. We spent our mornings walking the backyard, inspecting the pecan tree we had planted together. Micah watered it diligently, his small hands careful, as if he understood that some things, like trust and family, needed tending to grow. I watched him and realized that for the first time in years I felt calm. No calculations, no compromises, no silent battles. Just peace. The attic held memories. Boxes filled with forgotten trinkets, photo albums, letters from my grandfather, and the evidence of decades of family dynamics. Among them, the letter from my grandfather was my anchor. I read it again and again, letting his words sink in. That I was always the one meant to protect, to inherit, to nurture, not just his money but his legacy. Rowan's app, once the family's golden ticket, failed spectacularly. His confidence faltered in public view, and his ventures fell apart without the financial lifeline I had quietly been providing for a decade. Mom's social media following turned on her once the truth leaked. The curated narrative of the caring, supportive mother collapsed under the weight of reality. Dad retreated entirely, no protests, no arguments, just silence. Our lives, once dictated by the whims of others, finally belonged to Micah and me. I still live most days in Portland, working, coding, managing the life I built. But every few weeks we drive down to the house, open the windows wide and let the quiet fill every room. It's a sound I had almost forgotten. The soft, satisfying rhythm of security, independence, and the knowledge that the people you love the most are the ones you choose, not the ones who demand control. Some nights, after the chores are done, we sit on the porch together, the pool reflecting the stars above. Micah tells me about his day and I listen, feeling gratitude that our lives are now ours to shape. Family isn't the people who take until you break. Family is the one you choose, and the one you protect. I chose Micah. I chose peace. I chose to stop paying for their mistakes. The house, the backyard, the pecan tree, they are reminders that even when those you love fail you, you can reclaim life on your own terms. And sometimes reclaiming it quietly is the most satisfying victory of all. Life after reclaiming our home felt surreal at first. The silence was deafening, but in a good way. The constant undercurrent of fear, judgment, and manipulation was gone. No more whispers, no more subtle threats. No more constant balancing act of keeping everyone else comfortable at the expense of my own family. Micah and I could finally breathe. We spent our days slowly reclaiming the space. Closets were emptied, walls were repainted, old furniture restored. Every corner became ours, not a stage for someone else's ambitions or critiques. In the kitchen, I kept the same wooden table where years of dinners had become battlegrounds. but now it held only laughter, homework sessions, and occasional stories from Micah's school day. He grew more confident every week. The boy who once thought he had to tolerate criticism and manipulation from the adults around him now understood boundaries. He learned that home doesn't have to mean fear and family doesn't have to mean sacrifice. Together we planted more trees in the backyard: pecan, maple, and a small apple tree. Each one was a symbol of growth, of patience, and of nurturing life that is yours to protect. Rowan never recovered his image. His apps, funded with borrowed ambition and my support, failed one by one. Mom's followers turned against her, uncovering the truth behind her dramatized social media stories. Dad, once so loud and imposing, retreated entirely into his silence. Their attempts to reclaim control were gone. All that remained was the life they had taken for granted, and that we had quietly reclaimed. I began to understand something fundamental. Family is not inherited, it is chosen. It is not about who shares your blood but who shares your values, your protection, your love. For a decade I had allowed people to take my resources, my energy, and my peace. That night, when I calmly told them they had 24 hours to leave, I finally drew the line. And in doing so I drew a new life for my son and myself. Even now life is quiet, grounded in simple routines. We still live in Portland most days, but we visit the house often. We sit on the porch at night, Micah with a glass of juice, me with a cup of tea, watching the stars reflect off the pool. We talk, we plan, we dream, but this time on our own terms. No fear. No guilt. No obligation to repair what others have broken. Sometimes I pull out my grandfather's letter and read it again. His words remind me that the power to protect what is yours is a gift in itself. That the loudest victories are the ones no one expects, and the most satisfying revenge is simply living the life you were meant to lead. I chose Micah. I chose peace. I chose to stop paying for their mistakes. And in those quiet evenings, with the pecan tree growing strong and the house fully ours, I realize how much freedom can exist in the simple act of claiming what you already own. The past may have shaped us, but it doesn't define us. If you've ever been called a leech in the home you built, stay. The next story might feel uncomfortably familiar. Hit subscribe. We drop new ones twice a day. And we never raise our voice.